Last week we had a couple nice trades from the daily market breakdown videos. With that being said, let's get right into this week's Forex Forecast. Alright, starting this weekly Forex Forecast off with the DXY, the US dollar. So just a reminder on the weekly chart here, we failed to break this high here. We obviously turned around. We've had pretty much three down weeks in a row in the US dollar. I would have liked to see this higher move because then we would have had a nice weekly trend. So just as a higher time frame analysis here, there's really no trend to go off on the weekly chart here. Just a lot of sideways price action, but at least on the daily chart, we still have that daily trend continued. Now, the opposite of the DXY is the euro, and on the euro chart, we actually broke the euro downtrend on the daily chart. So we'll get to that in a minute here. We're going to finish the DXY analysis, but that euro downward trend line break could indicate that we could actually break below this daily upward trend line here on the DXY. Now, if you look at the 4-hour chart right now, we still have a 4-hour downward trend line holding. We have supply zones being respected, demand zones being removed, and we also had a nice move off of this demand zone at the 104.19 area. I did predict this rally up. As you can see on the screen here, this is a zone that I pointed out in the daily market breakdown video to warn members of, hey, yes, we do have a downward trend right now, but we are contacting this significant demand zone that we got a very, very nice move off of to the upside, and I thought we could definitely react off of that. However, I don't really think that we are going to break the trend line. I did just kind of think that this demand zone was going to hold for a bit and eventually potentially roll over and break that, this overall daily uptrend on the daily chart. So as far as the 4-hour chart goes here, if we do push down to this demand zone again, since it's tested, I'm actually expecting it to break. And like I said, on the euro, we broke the daily downward trend line. So I honestly think that the daily upward trend line on this daily chart in the DXY is going to break as well. So, going back to the 4-hour chart, even if, let's say, we react off this demand again, we don't break the demand, we push up to this 4-hour supply zone at the 105.20 area, I think we could actually still react off of that zone. But as long as this downward trend line is holding on the DXY, we could actually be continuing to look for day trade shorts in the US dollar. So the next thing I am looking to see, looking back at this daily chart, is the removal of this upward trend line on the DXY. To me, it doesn't really look like this upward trend line is going to be respected, and I don't really think we are going to break the high here. Who knows? Anything is possible, guys. Like I said, the euro, we're going to go to that here in a second, and that's going to show us more evidence of what is taking place. All right, on to the euro US dollar. Like I was just talking about here, guys, we had that beautiful picture perfect daily downward trend line here. We actually kind of had another one here as well, something like that, and it was actually removed. What was it removed by? It was removed by this daily demand at the 1.081 area. Now, this is a pretty nice rally demand zone. The issue I'm seeing is the way I drew it here. There's a couple little basing candles here as well. So if you did, I'm not sure if anybody's really even getting long at a daily zone with a stop below, but it might be best to have a wider stop here since it is around a trend line as well. We could maybe fake out to the downside and react. But what I'm seeing here is a significant break of a downward trend line, guys. So I think it's significant. I think if we push down this daily demand zone, it could be great to look for longs to potentially get that pushback up to the 1.09 area here on the euro US dollar. Now, I was telling members we could be getting in long. If you look down here, we had a pretty nice 1-hour downward trend line here in a supply zone, and it was removed by this demand zone right here at the 1.07 area. And this is a demand zone I pointed out to the members in the daily market breakdown videos. If you guys want access to these forecasts throughout the trading week, check out the Diamond membership. We'll be happy to see all serious traders join the team, where you get these daily market breakdown videos, Sunday Zoom sessions, Sunday live stream forecasts, private Discord, video lessons, and much more. We'll be happy to see you guys join the team. Links in the description down below. If you want to catch trades like this, make sure to check it out. Like I said, links in the description down below. So the 1-hour trend line is holding right now. The issue with this now is that we are kind of going sideways here. So in theory, it would be best to break the high again, because then we can reconnect this trend line from here to here. And that will give us a more powerful 1-hour trend. But what I like about this is that even on the 4-hour chart here, guys, we have a pretty nice 4-hour upward trend. And if you look, this 4-hour demand zone is actually inside of that daily zone. So if you kind of want to refine your entry, there's this 4-hour demand that's right below this trend line at the 1.07 area. So yes, at any point we could be day trading long this 4-hour trend line on a 15-minute and even a 5-minute time frame. I think both of these time frames would be fair. So as long as this trend line is holding, let's say we get up to here, you could be looking for longs, and let's say we break it. Well, then at that point, we want to wait for this demand zone to be hit at the 1.078 area, and then we could continue to look for longs, since this 4-hour zone is inside of that overall daily zone as well. So things are looking really strong here on the Euro US dollar. I really see no reason to get in short at all. Let's say we break this here, we break the daily demand, and the overall down move on the US dollar was just a fake out. Well, that's fine. Then any 4-hour supply zone there, we could look to get in short, but that might be for another video if it even happens. So it's really longs all the way, like I said, on pretty much all time frames here on the Euro US dollar. And obviously, if we do push down to this daily demand here, if you don't feel comfortable just getting in long, you could just look for confirmation on a 1-hour chart by removing supply zones, giving us new 1-hour zones we could look for longs off of. So confirmation on the lower time frames could be fantastic inside of this daily demand zone here on the Euro USD. Alrighty, onto the forecast for gold. So it doesn't look like we are getting that pullback down to the 22.19 area. Gold is just on a tear. Everyone probably got scared here these last, a couple weeks ago, where we had 2 red candles here on the weekly chart. Unfortunately, we couldn't push down to this weekly demand. I was really looking forward to it. It doesn't look like we were going to get there yet, although it's definitely still possible. If we go to the daily chart here, to me it looks like we kind of just bottomed out and we are pushing up. Obviously, the best thing we could see is this high removed here, because if we do that, we can reconnect a trend line here and give us a more powerful daily trend as well. So I know as far as trading it goes, nobody's really looking at the weekly and the daily. I get that, guys. But as far as zones go, I'm really not seeing anything. You guys know from a couple weeks ago, we had this beautiful 4-hour demand zone set up. Pretty sure a couple members are still holding in long from that trade down there. So for me personally, I want to just see these high removed, and then at that point we'll have new zones formed and we can continue to look for longs. So as far as gold goes now, I don't see a lot of zones for me to point out to you guys, but what you could be doing is looking for the day trading longs on the day trading time frames, which will be a 15-minute and even a 5-minute time frame. If you look at the 1-hour chart, we had a 1-hour supply zone from all the way back here. This is also another zone we pointed out. You guys can go back, watch the weekly Forex Forecast videos. We've been absolutely nailing it on gold. Yes, we do take some losses here, guys, as well, but we catch these beautiful moves to the downside. That's why you can see the red circle here. So if this proven supply zone gets taken out like this, and any 1-hour demand zone here is formed, we could look for longs like that. So that's what I'm personally going to be waiting for here on gold. Yeah, it's a little risky getting in long at the high, guys, but the trends are to the upside. Do you really want to be getting short at this point? You could, right? It's obviously possible, but for me, honestly, I'd rather be trading with the trends. That's why I'm going to wait for this 1-hour supply to be taken out, wait for the 24.31 area to be kind of removed first. At that point, then the high would be the all-time high would be broken again. At that point, it would signal even more strength. If you want to get aggressive and you just want to predict that we are going to break the all-time high, which I don't love doing, but the only thing we have going for it is that the fact that the weekly trend is up, the monthly trend is up, the 3-month trend is up, the 6-month trend, the 12-month trend, all time frames are trending up on the macro charts, guys. That is why I think it's fair to predict this break of this high. I get it. I don't trade like that, but what you could be doing is, as long as this 1-hour trend line is holding, let's say we react to the downside here, we don't break the high just yet. At any point, if this trend line is holding, you could be looking for longs on those day trading time frames. That's all I'd be doing here on gold. Hopefully throughout the week in the daily market breakdown videos, we'll break the high, give us a new 1-hour zone I can point out to the members, and that's what I'm personally going to be waiting for here on gold. But honestly, things are looking strong. All signs are pointing to the upside. We just got to be a little bit cautious since we're kind of floating around the all-time highs here on gold. On to the forecast for the USDJPY, but real quick, make sure to hit that like button and share this video, because all ad revenue gets donated to my local hospice charity. It means a lot to me, so let's hit that like button, guys, so we can get this video to more people, because like I said, all ad revenue gets donated. So let's get more donations here. So anyways, on to the USDJPY. Remember, the weekly trend is up. Beautiful weekly trend line. We recently broke the all-time highs, and we have a weekly demand zone in control. So in theory, this should continue to go up. We have a daily trend still. Now on the 1-hour chart, we kind of failed to contact this 1-hour supply zone. We paused right before and dropped at the 156.00 area. So honestly, if you want to get kind of aggressive, we could still see maybe a small move off of this 1-hour supply zone. It is not great. To me, it kind of looked like we bottomed out here and that we are going to continue to go up. I did point out this 1-hour supply to the members in the daily market breakdown videos. However, I don't want to call it tested, but it pretty much is. And the reason I'm not that confident anymore, and I was only really confident in it for a small move based on the fact that we have those weekly and the daily trends to the upside. You know, yeah, we could in theory look for another small move off of this 1 hour supply, but the actual better supply zone is actually above here on this 4 hour time frame at the 157.35 area. So if we do push up to here, I do like this pause that we got before it. So it's kind of acting as maybe a resistance trap, and we could see a small move off of that supply zone as well. However, if we do break the high here, that will give us a pretty nice 4 hour trend to the upside, which means we could also be day trading a 15-minute or a 5-minute time frame long. So I repeat, if we get that higher move, we'll have a nice trend line to draw here, a nice trend on the 4 hour chart, and then we could be day trading long. And when I say day trading, I really mean day trading. I don't really think looking for longs, you know, on a 1 hour chart or anything is going to make much sense. So if we do break that high, it's all going to revolve around this 4 hour supply. We could be day trading long, but we got to be cautious around this supply, because I think we could see maybe a small move off of it, something like that. So yeah, you could get a little day trade in here short, but ultimately, since the weekly and the daily trend is up, if we do break the supply, that's going to signal a lot of strength in my opinion. Hopefully, if we break the supply, we're left with a 4 hour demand zone here we could look for longs at as well. So not much to report as of this week on the USDJPY, but we have a couple options that could play out for potential short trades and potential long trades if we do, like I said, break the high and give us a nice 4 hour trend to the upside here on the USDJPY. All right, onto the GBPUSD. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts here on the pound. Do you think we're going to continue to go up, or do you think we're going to continue to fall? Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts here are on the pound. You know, we did just break this supply zone. It was pretty significant. We almost got a reaction off of it. There wasn't really a trend here, so price has just been kind of going sideways for so long on the GBPUSD. Now, this supply zone up here at the 1.27 area is fresh, so we could kind of see maybe the supply zone move down to demand at the 1.259 area. This is a very similar demand to the Euro US dollar. So if we do push down to this demand zone, I think it's a great area to potentially get in long. Now, I also think this is a good area to get in short at this daily supply. I just think we're going to need, you know, some sort of confirmation, you know, on a lower time frame. Now, it's all, in my opinion, going to kind of revolve around this 1 hour time frame here. If you look, we have a pretty nice 1 hour trend line to the upside with a nice 1 hour demand zone below. Now, yeah, you could look for longs in this 1 hour demand. However, I don't like it, because if we do break down to this demand zone, we'll be below the trend line, which could indicate some weakness, and we could actually blow through the demand and push down to that daily demand like I was just pointing out. So if you do push down to this 1 hour demand zone, that would be our nearest buying opportunity, and we could definitely get a move off of that zone. That would really be the nearest, like I said, buying opportunity. If you don't feel comfortable just with a entry and a stop below the zone, you could just look for extra day trading confirmation in here. And as long as we have this 1 hour trend line holding, we could just continue to look for longs on a 5-minute time frame, guys. I would stay away from the 50-minute and stick to the 5-minute time frame with this 1 hour trend line to the upside. And like I said, let's say we push up to the daily supply and we contact the daily supply and the trend line is holding. If we break this trend line to the downside and we are left with a 1 hour supply zone here, we could definitely get in short at that 1 hour supply zone as some sort of H1 confirmation coming off of that daily supply. So it's all really going to revolve around this 1 hour time frame and this daily time frame. If we hit this daily supply zone first, that could be an indication we can get in short, and then we can maybe push. Like, remember guys, with supply and demand, price usually reacts from supply to demand and demand to supply. So we could easily get a move like this where we go from supply down to demand and potentially get a short trade and then a long trade as we come off of both of these daily zones here on the GBPUSD. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts. On to the USDCAD, the Canadian dollar. We're going to stick to pretty much the 4 hour and the 1 hour chart here. If you look, I have this purple rectangle box. Now, remember guys, I do not trade support and resistance at all. I would never buy at support and I would never buy at resistance. Sure, sometimes, you know, supply and demand can line up with a support and resistance area, and that's fine. But I'm just saying I don't trade support and resistance. However, I do like to mark it out on the chart because you can clearly see we had resistance turned into support a couple times, and now we're kind of reacting off of it again to the downside. Why I like that is because there was a demand zone down at the 1.357 area. We almost hit this demand zone. Now we have a little support down below. So I actually think, although we do have a 4 hour downtrend, I think we could still get a small move off of this 4-hour zone to the upside, maybe a 2-to-1, 1-to-1 trade like that. So definitely have that zone on your charts here on the USDCAD. I think it is definitely decent. And if you want to trade this 4-hour downward trend line, you can. As long as the trend line's holding, even if we push up all the way up here, you could look for shorts on a 15-minute or a 5-minute time frame here on the USDCAD. And that's really going to be about it. I mean, we've just seen the trend line continuing to hold here. We tried to pierce above it. We did a little bit. We did not break it. So that definitely signaled weakness in my opinion. So yeah, you could basically be day trading short this 4-hour and 1-hour time frame. And then back to the 4-hour chart, I would look to maybe, if you do get in short here, as long as there's profit margin and you do get in short, I would look to potentially wrap up that short and look to take profit at that 1.357 area. Because look guys, I don't really think, especially if the USDCAD continues to drop, or sorry, if the US dollar continues to drop, I don't think we're going to get a massive move off the zone. However, I do think we could get a small move, maybe back up to this support resistance area and then eventually break it. So again, if you are short, this is where I would potentially look to lock in your profits or at least bump your stop losses to lower and then maybe get a quick little trade off of this 4-hour zone. That's pretty much it here on the USDCAD. Remember, since we have a 4-hour downward trend line, as long as the trend line's holding, guys, day trading shorts could be fine, but make sure there's profit margin. We don't really want to be getting in day trading shorts down at this demand zone here on the 4-hour chart. All right, on to the AUDUSD, the Aussie US dollar. So you can see here, we are into this proven supply zone. We reacted off of it nice here on the daily chart. We kind of created some sort of resistance area here. But if you look, we're kind of basing up here. I think we're actually going to break to the upside. It is kind of a predictive move. I don't really like to do that, but it is possible as well. We do push all the way down to this daily zone, which is a decent little zone, but it's not really looking like it. We've seen just significant momentum. So if you just want to look at the daily chart here, if we do break up to the upside here like that, that would give us a nice daily zone, and then we can look for longs off of that. That'll be definitely throughout the week if we do get that push up. So yeah, we are into daily supply. We could get a move down. I don't want to say ignore the daily supply, guys, but I mean, if you look at the 4-hour chart, look at this beautiful trend line. It's pretty much picture perfect. I don't think anybody would say that this is not an upward trend at this point. The issue is I'm not really seeing any demand zones down here. Yes, there is a decent one at 0.66, but we pretty much tested it here. So, all I'm really going to say is as long as this trend line's holding, we could be looking for longs on a 15-minute or a 5-minute chart. I'd pretty much stick to the 50-minute though because of the 4-hour trend. If we do break to the upside here, we could potentially have new zones. So there's really not a lot to point out here on the AUDUSD. We did actually create some sort of 1-hour demand zone here, which then actually gives us a 1-hour supply above up here. So if we do actually break this supply here, then we'll actually have the ability to create a trend line here, because this is a very clear peak which could be connectable for a trend line, but we just need to see the high removed first. So if we do push up, break the high, break the supply, any 1-hour demand zone there could definitely be good for trading. That's why I do the forecasts throughout the week, because I only do these weekly Forex forecasts here on YouTube once a week on Fridays and Saturdays. And right now, we're kind of just in a dead zone here. Yes, you could look for shorts off this supply. If you think that we are going to maybe push down to daily demand down here, and you think, we're going to get in short, that's fine. I like to point out both sides of it. I know a lot of people have given me kind of negative feedback about, oh, it's going to go up or down. Thanks for the analysis. And I get it. But, just because I think long term we could be going up, it doesn't mean we can't get a small short trade off of this supply. So if you are bearish, that would be our supply zone at the 0.67 area. We could look for shorts. And if you are bullish, we just need to wait for that to be removed, the high to be removed, and any 1-hour demand zone there, we could look for longs here on the AUDUSD. All right, on to the USDCHF. We are reacting once again off of this very, very bad daily zone. I've been pointing out this zone for a while now. It is horrible, but we've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reactions off of this demand zone. And there is supply above, so we easily could be getting the move again from demand to supply. That is definitely what we are probably getting at this point. If you want to trade that move, we have a clear demand zone in control right now. It is, again, not a great demand zone, but you could be looking for 5-minute confirmation trades to the long side off of this demand zone, all the way up to the 0.915 area, like that. If you are still bullish, if we break this demand zone like this, this would be our next demand zone down here at the 0.90 area that we could get a move off of. So two pretty decent confirmation zones here as we come off of that daily demand zone. So this is a quick kind of snippet of what a confirmation trade is. We contacted daily demand and we created 1 hour demand as we come off of that zone as we broke a downward trend line. So looking pretty damn good in my opinion for potential long trades. And going back, or sorry, that's a 4 hour chart, my bad guys, not a 1 hour chart. And going back, since we have this weekly demand zone, guys, I think it's possible long term we do pull back to this weekly demand zone, and how that might take place. And this is just kind of me talking here. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just saying this is a possibility. It could be that we are pushing from demand to daily supply, and then we might react off that daily supply to then push down to that weekly demand zone for a bigger move up. So that's definitely a possible move. I am not just going to say that's going to happen. I'm just kind of looking at the higher time frames and kind of seeing a story that I could see play out. So when we do, like if you do get in long down here, I would definitely look to potentially take profits at the 0.91 area at this daily supply zone, because I think we easily could react to the downside off of that daily supply. Because remember guys, price moved from supply to demand, demand to supply, so we could easily get the move from supply back down to that weekly demand, like I was just pointing out there on the USDCHF. All right, last but not least, we are on to crude oil. Remember, we do have this daily demand zone down below. I've been very eager to get that pullback down to the 74.04 area. However, it looks like we are kind of basing out here and potentially pushing up, but the momentum is down here on the daily chart. I just wanted to give you that long-term profit target to the downside if you do think we are going to continue, to drop. Now the 4 hour downward trend line is still holding strong. We did peak above here though, yeah, we actually did, I think. So it's looking kind of strong. If you are bearish, this would be our supply zone. I don't really love it because of the trend line could be broken at the 81.06 area, but this is really the nearest term supply zone short we could look for shorts off of. And let's say we blast through the zone, blast through the downward trend line, leaving us with a 4 hour demand zone there. We could look for longs off of that demand zone. That would be a pretty nice confirmation if we can remove this supply and the downward trend line. So as far as trading it goes now, it's really all going to revolve around this 4 hour area of supply for shorts, and then for longs if we can actually get it removed. Now going to the 1 hour chart, we did catch a beautiful 1 hour demand zone trade off of that demand zone like that. A 3-to-1 was easily hit there, and eventually we ended up breaking below the zone like that, but then we did create demand down below at the 77.54 area. So if you are bullish, this could be a decent pullback down to that 1 hour zone, something like that. I think it's definitely possible we could get a move off of that 1 hour zone like that. Or like I said, if we can break above the downward trend line on the 4 hour chart and the supply, that would be our good move for confirmation that, hey, maybe we're not pulling back down the daily demand, and this was kind of just a fake out to the downside, and we were going to continue up here on crude oil. If you guys want to watch the full-length forecast with all the other markets, make sure to subscribe to the channel membership to get access.